G'day guys, welcome to CoastfishTV. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to not just show you an episode but also have a good chat about jewfish. We know they're sought after by many, caught by very few. They can be a challenging fish, we know that. I've been lucky enough to catch a few of them over the years, and my first big one was in Ballina off the break ball. And we've all tried to, I guess, crack the code of these sometimes really frustrating fish. And a mate once said to me, you can always tell who the Jew fishermen are with the bags under their eyes, because that's how long they spend trying to get one. So we're going to actually show you scenes of hooking up Jewies, and a good mate of mine, Benno, and myself hitting the spit or the seaway on the Gold Coast, trying to crack the code on these fish. Pretty much once we figured it all out, I think we hooked about 13 fish in 2 trips. So I wanted to pass on that knowledge to you guys. Now I can pretty much go out with Benno and be confident that we're going to get a fish, and it's good to have that confidence. So obviously there's going to be variables, but this is just what worked for us, and I'm not going to hold anything back. It's an amazing feeling. I guess pulling up a Jew there's something about it. I don't know what it is, but it's something about it. Maybe you're hoping for that big 15-20 kilo fish or whatnot. Before we get into it though, I'll just ask if you guys can show a little bit of love and sub to the channel. YouTube have been pretty tough with their algorithms. They're always changing them, and out of 25,000 odd followers, not many people are actually seeing the vids anymore. So if you can give us a sub, even just a thumbs up, just hit that. Even comment, ask questions as well, because I check out every single comment that comes through, and I'll certainly make an effort to answer those questions too. And that'll get us hopefully back into the algorithms again, so we pop up in the feeds a lot more. So we'll get into it. We're going to, like I said, we're going to use the Gold Coast spit as our scenario. I mean, you can apply this to similar areas, like you've got Tweed, and you could probably do it all around Australia where there's a breakwall. So here's the Gold Coast spit. It's quite famous. It's actually heavily fished. You know what, we tried every single different tide scenario, ingoing, outgoing, the slack, and we got them on every single tide. I think obviously Jewfish are probably a little bit of a lazy fish. They like to hang in those deep holes, the less path of resistance. So our theory was that if there's a hole there, or a rock or a ledge or something like that, they sort of hang behind it so they can relax, and hopefully if you drift a bait through, or they just wait for bait to come through, they whack it, and that could be any part of the tide. So maybe when it goes slack, they sort of come out a little bit and start searching, and as soon as that current really starts hammering, they sort of sit behind the rocks and go into the deeper holes and sort of preserve their energy or conserve their energy. So here we go. We're going to we'll look at the spit here. Now, where did we fish? Okay, so we fished the north wall. The north wall's right here, and we'll just zoom in here. Now, the tides were really big. They're about 1.6, and we did have a crack on the tides that weren't as heavy as well. So the first thing we did is we rocked up to the wall. This scenario was, we fished a couple of different scenarios, outgoing and incoming tides. Is when it was coming in, we knew that we were going to drift into the Nerang River. What we wanted to do was we wanted to check our drift line first. So we had live baits. We used yakkers. We went to the bait grounds. We got a few. We got about 15 or so, and then we sat sort of not quite off the end, but in a little bit, because we want to fish on the inside of that north wall. And we sat out and we tried to get our drift line right. So basically we didn't even drop a bait. We just wanted to get that drift line, because if you're in too close to the wall, you're sort of not quite in the zone. You're fishing in, like, right off the edge. It's about 10 meters, but there's a drop off if you come out a little bit further of around 18 meters. Okay, so that's sort of along here. Now, as soon as you get to the edge of that drop off and you get to that 17-18 meter mark, that's where the Jewfish hang out. And we did some sounding first. So number one, we wanted to find the drift line. Number two, we really wanted to find where that edge was and where that drop off was. So we sort of sat out a bit, we figured out the drift line. We got it wrong a couple of times. We came in too shallow. It was such a big tide change, that there was a vortex in there, and then we got caught in the vortex and we just sort of spun around in circles. So we had to get outside of that vortex. But if you come out too wide, the current picks you up and you just absolutely fly through there. So what we did is we experimented a couple of times. We got it right. We sort of came out a little bit wider out here in the end, and then we'd sort of follow through sort of that kind of line. We weren't too far into the center, but we weren't too close to the edge either. So that's what we sorted out. Now, as far as the drift line goes, once we got that right, it was baits in the water. So basically we used a running rig. We tried with 2 hooks, so we did like a double snell rig. I'll just show you the hooks that we used. I used these. I used the Owner 7.0s. We did do doubles. Yeah, we did get caught on the rocks a couple of times. Originally we were using 10 balls, too heavy. We had to bring it back, and we found that about a 6 to 7 ball was just about right, because I think if you've got it too light, you don't know when it's contacting the bottom because of that big heavy current, and that happens on almost breakwalls with lots of water in there. We sort of figured out that, yeah, it was around about that 6 to 7 that was right. It wasn't anchored to the bottom, but we could still feel it bouncing off the bottom, and then we'd sort of bring it up about 1/2 meter to 1 meter. So we knew, because the dewies will sort of just hang maybe 1/2 meter to 1 meter off the bottom and congregate in their little schools of how many fish. He's got him. He's got him. It's it. It's it. In the net. In the net. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well done. You. Yes. Woo. Yeah. Beautiful Jewy. Beautiful. David Jewy. Is that your first Jew? Oh, you're kidding. I didn't know that. Yeah. Have a look at this guy. Look down he's got there. We did it. We persisted. Yes. 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 How good's that? There he is. A beautiful Jewy. Mid-70s. Did it. Persistence pays off. Now this one's going off. Another little Jew. You can just pop him. There you go. Look at that little guy. Isn't he cute? Might have a 3rd fish on. Head shakes. Oh, you're kidding me. This is a monster flathead. Check this guy out. How good is that? That's a big flatty. In the seaway, it's got so many good fish in here, and that tide's running so quick. So we got it right there. The second time we did it, and we hooked the most fish, is a single hook. So look, we basically just use that main braid, about 40 pound, and then your leader a couple of meters, 40 to 60 pound leaders fine. You can, if you go 40, you can go that hard leader. I know Black Magic do a good tough leader, and I use that for jacks as well. So, and then that can go straight onto a single hook, and then basically they just go straight through the mouth of your yakka or whatever light bait you might be using. So that's the rig that we used.
I don't think he knows he's hooked.
Oh really?
That's weird. Oh, that's why. Ah!
What is it?
Pair of undies.
Pair of undies. Is that Bonds?
Don't know, I don't really want to sniff them.
Benno, the master of Jew.
Catching undies and Jews.
This is the fish. Don't swear, Benno. Yeah. I reckon this is the one.
Head shakes.
Could be a king. Woo! Let's hope so.
Head shakes on it. Yep. Oh, big Jewy.
Oh,
Good
big
Jewy.
Jewy, big Jewy.
Hit that bloody neck.
Yep. Oh, that's a monster. That's a monster.
Oop, oop. Let's find that out now.
Yes. Yes.
Woo!
Woo! Yes. That's the one we want.
Woo!
Almost hit that magic meter, just a little way off. We'll call it for 96. Hold her up, mate, loud and proud.
You!
So basically, once we sort of figured it out, it was basically just heading straight back out and trying to get that drift line right. Now, depending on the tide, sometimes it's going to change. Your drift line might change, you might come too far in, or like I said, you know, if there's huge changes, you're going to get the vortexes happening, and that just means that, you know, you've got pressure edges, like, and the pressure edges are more intense. That's when the body of water goes through, it hits the deeper holes and then hits the edge, like the edge of that drop off, and then the water sort of pushes up to the top and you get those big swells happening. Try and stay out of those. Now, do you need an electric? Well, we didn't use an electric, so I've got an electric, but we just thought, nah, the drift is good, the drifter worked better. So that's what worked for us. So let's talk about the rod and reel that you can use for catching jewies. So there you go, that's a Daiwa BG, that's a 5,000. You can get away with a 4,000 or whatever. If you want a really good fight, go less. That's a PE rod. It's really, really tough in the butt area, but it's sensitive on the end. And the reason why you don't want a broomstick is it's so you can feel where your bait is, so you know when it's sort of bouncing off the bottom, and you can feel that your bait's going and nice and active. You don't need a super heavy drag either, so just sort of a medium drag, couple of kilos on there, and there's your FG knot, and there's your leader. So that's one you can use. This is one of those slider rods, so from Zeekel, 4 to 8 kilo. This was the actual rod that Benny was using on the day, and basically, check this out. So basically they can extend out, or if you want, you know, if you're fighting tougher fish, you can shorten them up like that. So you almost got like a 2-in-1. And this one here's got a lot of butt strength, and you've got that really sensitive tip at the end, but they've got heaps of pull in them. So they're pretty cool, from Zeekel, the old sliders. You can just order them online. that's the kind of tackle you need, you know, around that sort of 4 to 8 kilo. Even get away with a 3 to 6 if you really want a good fight. So there you go, that's the gear you need. Well, so let's go check out some more highlights of what happened on the day, catching jewfish in the seaway.
Bad anyway.
Wow. Yeah, boy.
Joey, come back around, push him, line. Come back up. Woo! Oh, yeah. We'll be a bit closer.
Pouring.
Colour.
Yep. Oh, another big one. Ha 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 ha. Woo! Look at that.
Get in here, you slob! Woo!
Woo!
Yeah! That's how we do it on the Gold Coast, boys!
Woo! Go, Benny! You!
We'll catch you next time on Coastfish TV, and hopefully you guys have some luck out on the water catching that fish of a lifetime, that silver slab, the beautiful Jewy.
Yeah!